On this episode, we're going to review what happened on the latest ChocoPro event 160 with only 2 episodes to go for the season finale. We even got day 5 of the G1 Climax 31 with A block matches only. And finally, we're also going to review a past event by Pro Wrestling Noah, Muta the World. Yes, folks, if you heard that word Muta, the Great Muta is in the main event taking on the leader of Congo, Keno, which is going to be was an amazing match to watch and very devastating. So, let's get started with another episode of the Leader Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Leader Wrestle Zone. All things that it's pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Gerard here. So let's begin with the latest Choco Pro show event. We have 2 interesting tag team matches. The first one we have is Ayano Ire teaming up with the Tropical Wild Girl, or who I like to call her the Pineapple Girl, Yuna Mizumori taking on Tokiko Kirihara, and of course, veteran wrestler Kaori Yunayama. Now, this match, there was a bit of comedy and all this other stuff. There was a moment in this one they decided to go with a some sort of judo competition, which is something where we see. Okay, pause in when we see if you guys ever gone to a Harlem's Globetrotter where there's a moment they play football, but this time they play judo. And in case you're wondering who won that fight, that was Iri and Mizumori. And of course, the match was pretty good in every aspect. There was one misfire by Kirihara and Yoniyama, but however, it was of course Mizumori who picked up the victory by pinning Yoniyama in this match, and it was a really good one. I have to say, it was a really good match. Now, our next match, which is the main event, we have once again the Egg Tarts, Chi Koishikawa, the too much energy, teaming with the Silent One, Hagane Shinoi, taking on the Best Bros, Mei Shiruga and Balianaki in a non-title match. Now, this isn't the first time both the Best Bros and Egg Tarts have come across each other. They have faced each other in non-title matches or title matches, and one time they actually teamed up in an 8-man tag team match against the Pencil Army. But this match was so intense. I can see there's similarities between both teams. If you look at Mei Shiruga and Chi, they're almost alike. The only difference is Mei Shiruga, she likes to get away with things like try to be all mean. But Chiyo Koshikawa, she is more of an aggressor. Basically, will try to hurt you if it's necessary. And as for Balinaki and Hagane, they are both almost the same. The only difference is Hagane is a bit more silent and Balinaki, but there is one common factor that they both have. Both these girls, Chi and Mei, are always out of control, and they have to control them like, hey, stop it, stop it, stop it. That's always been the same thing. But however, because the match was intense, it ended up with a time limit draw. But however, I don't think they want this match like that in the end, but it did. Now for the Junkin tournament, it's hard to predict, but I'll give you the scoop. The last 2 finals in the Junkin tournament was the Best Bros, Mei Shiruga versus Balinaki, and the person that came on top in one try was Balinaki, and that was 2 times in a row that he gets the piece of chocolate. But however, in the post show, it appears that Chiiko Shikawa is demanding that the Best Bros put the Asian Dream Tag Team titles on the line. However, Balinaki and Mei Suruga felt like they have no right to do it. But however, since Emi Sakura is gone and not being there, Masahiro Takanashi took over. However, the match is going to happen, but not in the expense that they hoped. It's going to be a triple threat match with Masahiro Takanashi and some opponent I could not make out yet. So this is going to be interesting, and this is not something that Balianaki wanted to hear, but it happened. But we'll see what happens. Apparently, we got 2 more shows left on the 2nd and the 3rd of October. This match, this 3-way triple threat match for the Asian Dream Tag Team titles, is going to take place on the 3rd, and I'm kind of excited because who knows who will be the one team to dethrone the Best Bros. My money right now is, of course, thinking is going to be the Ektards because they have been in a role for a long time, and I think they will be a perfect fit. And of course, they're like a knockoff version of the Best Bros in somewhat. But right now, let's just end it right here and move on with New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okay, so we're in day 5 of the New Japan Pro Wrestling's G1 Climax 31 with only the A block matches. But however, keep in mind, Tetsuya Naito has been withdrawn from the tournament due to the injury he obtained on his first match against Zack Sabre Jr. So whatever matches that were supposed to take place with him, those matches will be now forfeited. So right now, let's go with the beginning. We have Kosei Fujita, one of the newer young lions who are now is being on display, taking on, of course, Master Wato. Um, it was a really good match because it showed. I can tell from Fujita he is a very looks more like he's going to end up in the junior heavyweight division. But however, Master Wata, who has been fantastic in the junior heavyweight division for since he came back from his excursion down in Mexico, he actually pulled off an amazing victory by applying the one submission move when he was a young lion that he knows is effective, and that is the Boston Crab. So it kind of worked for him, and it did allow him to win. But he did give Fujita a standing ovation, knowing he put up a good match against him. Now our next match is a special match. We got Blue Justice taking on Shingo Takagi. Now, as you know, Shingo most likely will get 2 free points, knowing that he was supposed to face Naito, but like I said, he's out. But it was a good, hard-hitting match because, as you know, Nagata, he is a very strong competitor. He has been a legend, a veteran in pro wrestling in Japan, facing off a guy like Shingo, who's been a strong competitor ever since he first arrived in New Japan. But I have to say it was a good one, even though it was not the match itself wasn't a part of the G1, but it was good. But it was Shingo that pulled off the last dragon on Nagata to allow him to win. Now, our next 4 matches are part of the G1 Climax 31 for the A block only. We got this first match. We got Yujiro Takahashi taking on the Great Khan. Now, it doesn't take a genius to figure this out that the Great Khan was going to win because Kevin Kelly, one of the ring announcers, one of the ring commentators, did state it something. It's true. Great Khan is a major threat, so he could probably win the G1 if he wanted to, and I think that would play out pretty well in the whole thing. Him representing the United Empire while Ospreay is out recruiting new people. Now, the next match we have Tonga Loa taking on Toru Yano. This match, it was crazy, but at the same time, Yano once again, his tricks nearly worked. He brought in his bag full of handcuffs and tape, and the referee took that away from him. But he always had other tricks up his sleeves. He actually grabbed the kendo stick that Yano uses on any opponent that Tama or Tonga take on. He grabbed it, hit Tonga, and he passed the stick back to Yano. And of course, it did allow for Yano to low blow um, Tonga, but however, the ref didn't see it. It did allow him to win the match. Our next one we have is Kenta taking on the Stone Pitbull Tomohiro Ishii. As you know, these two guys know each other very well. They're two strong competitors. Ishii was there on the day when Kenta betrayed them during a match against Bullet Club. So practically, there's a lot of things that are going to happen. But however, Kenta pulled off a good victory when he you grabbed the tights to ensure he picked up a victory. Now our next final match is Zack Sabre Jr. taking on Kota Ibushi. Now, Zack Sabre Jr. has been on roll on with two matches, defeating Naito and Shingo. But this match with Kota Ibushi, they have faced before. But however, once again, the arm injury that Zack Sabre Jr. pulls off is effective and has been one of the most devastating moves that they've ever faced. So practically, you can guess. Now, the point-based system. Give me a minute. I have it on a different folder. Here it is. Okay. Here it is. Now, this is how the points systems now is having. Kota Ibushi has only 2 losses and 1 win, so that's the total of 2 points. As I know, Naito is out, so all his matches are forfeited. Shingo Takagi only has 6 points with 3 wins, but the third win was by forfeit. Zack Sabre Jr. undefeated as well, 3 wins, 6 points. Toriano, 2 wins and 1 loss, 4 points. Tomohiro Ishii, 0 points. He has no wins whatsoever. Yujiro, 1 win and 2 losses. And of course, we got Kenta with 1 loss, 2 wins, 4 points, and then the Great Khan with 6 points, all wins. So that means we have to pay attention right now with Shingo, Zack Sabre Jr., and Great Khan. Now, keep in mind, Shingo is the current IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. If he somehow wins the entire tournament, he has a right to pick his opponent for Wrestle Kingdom. But right now, for the A block, I'm mostly going to pay attention to Zack Sabre Jr. and Great Khan. So they'll most likely be the potential wrestlers that could win it all. If that's the case, then we need to pay attention right now for that. So I'm going to end it right here. Let's move on with Pro Wrestling Noah. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to review is Pro Wrestling Noah with their past event that happened on June 27th, Muta the World. This is one of those matches where we see the Great Muta taking on Keno in the main event. But there's a lot of things that took place in this entire show. So let's go from start to finish. We have Kinya Okada taking on Yoshiki Inamura. It was a good match. It was like very interesting. Um, I'm not sure if Okuda is a junior heavyweight contender, but I do know that Inamura he is most likely heavyweight. But he did pull off an amazing powerhouse style into his match, taking on Okada, and that allowed him to win his match. Now our next match is a tag team match. We got Yasukata Yano and Kai Fujimura taking on Los Perros del Mar de Japón. Consistent right now in this one is Koturo Suzuki and Akudo Hidaka. So ever since these guys first made their debut, Los Perros del Mar de Japón has now been the latest faction during that time. I even talked about them in the podcast. So it was very impressive seeing both Suzuki and Hidaka becoming a team in the whole thing, and I think it was pretty good to watch. But it did allow for Suzuki to pick up the victory for Los Perros, and it was pretty cool. So that's pretty much what's happening. Now we get this next match. What we have is a four-way match within the members of the Funky Express. Now previously, as you guys heard of what I said review last time with Pro Wrestling Noah, the members of Funky Express had everything planned out against Sugiura Gun when they had Takashi in their midst. However, they thought they need a leader. This was coming from Muhammad Yone, but Shunehe Tanagachi actually came, they need a king. So basically, they put themselves in a interesting four-way elimination match where the winner will be declared as the king of the Funky Express. So we have Masao Inoue, Akitoshi Saito, Shuhei Taniguchi, and Mohamed Yone. It was a good match. I was very impressed how one of these men was going to become the king of the Funky Express. But it did, for the last two, it was surprise. It was Shuhei Akitushi's, Akitushi's and Shuhei being the last two being there. And I thought, somehow, I thought in my mind Saito was going to win. But no, it was Tanagachi who actually pulled it off, picking up a huge victory on this one. And of course, Saito gave him his sign of respect, and now he has to be the king of Funky Express. So basically, right now, as a faction, they have to find out what direction they need to go to pursue for titles or bigger names, whatever they're gonna do. Now, our next match is the rivalry that we've been seeing most likely. We have Los Perros del Mal de Japón taking on the rivals Stinger. Now, these guys have been going at each other's throats for control. Who is the team that has the better, who are going to control the junior heavyweight division in Noah? So we got Los Perros del Mar de Japón, consisting of Nosawa Rongai, Yohei, and Eita taking on Stingers, Yoshinari Ogawa, Yoya Suzumu, and Saiki Yoshioka. Now, Yoshioka and Yohei, they know each other completely. They were part of one of the most well-respected factions, Full Throttle, and I think this is kind of played out in its good way because Yohei hated Stinger for kicking him out, and not only that, his teammate Suzuki, he was also part of that. But it did show a lot of character how Los Perros are playing dirty. They are not going to play around with these guys. And of course, it was Yohei who picked up the victory for Los Perros and allowing them and giving them the fair warning that Los Perros are here to stay. And no matter what, the locker room should be putting them on their worried list. Now, our next match is a 10-man tag team match. We have Kongo, consistent of Tadasuke Niho, Haho, Monobu Soya, and Katsuhiko Nakajima, taking on Junta Miyawaki, Hagame Ohara, Daisuke Irada, Keito Koyumiya, and Masa Kintamiya. Now, keep in mind, Nakajima and Mise are the current GHC tag team champions. Basically, they're now, Masa is no longer part of Kongo, so we will get to that. But it was a good match. But however, it was Tadasuke who pinned Hagane in the match. But it also in the post match, Hagane was it Tadasuke announced that he and his buddy Haho are going to be challenging both Hajime and what's his name, and Irada for the GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles. It's most likely they will be facing them, and that kind of fits into the mold of that. And I think it's going to be a very interesting match to watch. Now we get to the GHC Junior Heavyweight Championship between challenger Irada and Atsushi Koroge. This was a very good match. Nobody from Stinger was around to help, and it did allow for Irada to win the match with an impressive victory. It showed a lot of character with Irada, that he's not BSing around. They're trying to prove that Stinger is still the top faction in the junior heavyweight division for Noah. But we'll see what happens then. But Irada became now the new GHD junior heavyweight champion. Our next match is a tag team match. We got Sugiura Gun, consistent of Kazushi Sakuraba and Takashi Sugiura, taking on M's Alliance. We have Masato Tanaka versus and Naomichi Marufuji. Great match. It showed a lot of character in this one because we saw there was a moment that Naomichi had Takashi in his grips, but however he got out of it. He pulled off from the armbar, allowing now Marifuji to pick up the victory. It was a good one. Now our main event is Kenoh versus Great Muta. I knew that there was going to be the mist. First it was red, then green, and of course Manabu Soya got involved and he got missed too. It was a good match. It showed Kenoh, who was the top guy, who was out saying no one's gonna ruin my dreams. He got his ass whooped, and that's what happened. So he lost to Great Muta, but is this going to be the one-time thing only? I hope so, but we'll see what happens then. I'm going to end the episode with some news updates for all of you because this just came across today from me on Twitter. Okay, so here's some news updates for you guys. As you know, recently the United Empire has been on a roll recently on recruitment. The latest the recruitment came from a very person I did not expect. Will Ospreay recruited TJP into United Empire, and this is going to be an interesting moment. Now, this is going to lead to a different type of storyline. Will Ospreay criticized Shibata, and now top. But here's the thing: TJP, who defended Shibata, looks like he's going to disrespect the Young Lions. I don't know what their story is, but I think it's going to tell a fantastic story in the mix. Now, the latest thing came out. This is very strange. As you know, Bullet Club had a history with leadership. As you know, there was a friend of my friend Nico told me that Jay White was not did not authorize the approvement of recruiting Show into the Bullet Club, most likely with the House of Torture. So he is saying that he still called the shots. However, Tama Tonga posted this on Twitter saying, "Does he know? He doesn't know." So there's look like we're going to have a coup within Bullet Club. Who will side with Jay White, and who will side with most likely could be the newest leader of the Bullet Club. It's going to be Evil. So practically, we're going to see that. Now, it doesn't come to my surprise that we have new leadership. First, it was Prince Devitt, who we know as Finn Balor. Then, of course, there was AJ Styles. Carl Anderson did step up for some times. Then Kenny Omega. Then Jay White. And most likely Evil. So we'll see how that's going to be playing out soon enough. And I think that's pretty much it. So that's it. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I mean, I did too, reviewing some great events that took place. I did say there's a possibility I could do another one, but frankly, because of today, it did not happen. So I did get able to stay with the plan, but I'm glad I did it. Coming up, we got AEW Dark Elevation, Rev Pro's latest event that took place on the 19th, high stakes, and of course a DDT and a Dragon Gate past events, which I'm excited to review for all of you. But as for now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.